Hey guys, it's Kels back at it again with another video. It's not Friday night. We are on for Monday night, but since I've been missing for a little bit, I decided I needed to come on and check in with the collective. I've really got this feeling that my voice needed to be heard, that we might be going a little bit through it. And so I decided to say, okay, let's get on, let's go on live, especially because my energy was a little bit in a better place today than it has been in the last couple of weeks. You probably notice that a lot of your faves who come through with the intuitive messages, who come through with the motivation, have been missing for the last couple of weeks. And if they haven't been missing, it's probably because they batch their content and are probably somewhere resting on vacation while you're watching their content, thinking that they're still cranking and producing at the same speed, and they're not. And that is one of the keys that may be throwing you off your game a little bit in terms of why you feel like crap right now and everybody else seems to be very much producing. It's because the content is batched and they're really on some beach somewhere or really chilling and relaxing. So that's one of the little tips in the background things that I wanted to come in and share with you guys right now, especially about what is happening right now, celestially, astrologically, energy, and all of that. That's just one little tip that I wanted to share with you guys. But if you want to hear more, you want to know exactly what's going on, why are you feeling the way you're feeling, are you the only one feeling this way, or anything like that, keep watching. The doll is going to get into it per the usual. But before all of that, before all the yakety yakety talking, you know the deal. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Let me know where you are watching from and what you are sipping on, and we'll get into the intentions for today's live on a Monday. Can you believe that? And we'll go from there. But first, cheers. Clink, 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 clink. I hope that you can hear me and that you are seeing me correctly. The setup is different. It's been different every little time. I've been trying a bunch of different things. So hopefully you can hear me and see me. Let me know. I see a couple people watching. And so if you let me know, can you hear me and see me? And that would be great. That would be great. Yes. So let me actually, can I check? Hold on. Let me check to make sure. Yes. Oh, yes, you can see me and hear me. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. So as I was saying at the top, intention for today's live. Um, the intention for today's live is starting from scratch, starting from brand new, not starting from scratch from the bottom, but starting from scratch, starting again from this elevated perspective that we are all integrating right now. And it's getting back to the basics, keeping it as simple as possible, but yet still showing up and doing the work and moving through the contrast that we might be experiencing right now. So that is the intention that I set for tonight's quick conversation. And I know that the Heat are going to be playing whoever they're supposed to be beating or not beating in about 15-20 minutes. So I am going to keep it quick because I actually do want to watch that game as well and zone out a little bit. But that is the intention for tonight's live. You guys who are my regulars, who are part of watching us live, or you part of the replay gang, you know that I always say that especially if you're part of this collective, if one of us is feeling it, probably highly likely that all of us are feeling the same things energetically. And I've been checking in and talking with a couple of my friends, and a lot of them are feeling overwhelmed or exhausted. Those were the two words that came out in conversation today. Overwhelmed, or I'm exhausted. And I know that this is the first day in weeks that I have been feeling like moving forward. I felt like I was being held back a little bit over the last couple of weeks. And so I wanted to express to you guys just what I kind of have been experiencing, because as I said, if I feel like I'm experiencing it, a lot of people in the collective are experiencing it as well. So I just wanted to let you know what I've been going through, and so that you do not feel alone in this sometimes crazy, living, loving, leveling up, ascending world, as you guys know I love to say. I do have some notes here because I did try to jot down and scribble down some things, but honestly, it's real not overthought. It's very just stream of consciousness type of stuff. And so if that's for you, then keep watching, or if you want to watch later or whenever, then it's all good. Okay, one thing, let me see, can I make this bigger? Brilliant. Okay, so what I have is here. So what's kind of what I've been experiencing and what's been going on with me for the last couple of weeks, I would say that since probably the Mercury retrograde, which happened like late April all through May, That was a very, very difficult time because I felt like there was a lot of things being thrown at us that we had to deal with. And this may come up in a variety of ways. You have to just look back at your calendar and know what you were going through at that time for it to make sense to you. But if you've sensed like, yo, what is going on energetically? This Mercury retrograde hit heavier than it normally did, then that's what I'm talking about. And then this is resonating with you. If it don't resonate with you, take the meat, spit out the bones, is what the disclaimer is for all of my conversations. So Mercury retrograde was really, really hard. And I felt like I was revisiting the same issues that I had been dealing with, like in January. So if you journal, if you keep track of your spiritual development or your spiritual growth, or you journal just your personal thoughts or stream of consciousness or scripting or any of that, automatic writing, if you do any of that, what I was finding when I was looking back at my, flipping through my journals is like the same issues that I thought I had overcome and had dealt with in January, I was experiencing again in this Mercury retrograde, the one that just happened like the end of April to the beginning of May. And I was like being beat up by the same concepts again. I will say, and the one thing that did bring me some comfort in it was that it wasn't the exact same level of issue. It was coming from a different perspective. And if you guys watch some of my last lives, you know exactly what I'm talking about in terms of family dynamics and old roles that you play in your family from childhood that you may bring into your adulthood that no longer fit with the identity that you are now, and having to deal with that in parental figures and things like that. Those were the issues that I was experiencing, very familial, family-based issues. And so I thought, okay, it's Mercury retrograde, all right, we're revisiting. I worked through it, powered through it, did my work, did my journaling, paid attention to what I was, sensing, did my divination tools and things like that, did my prayer meditation, and kind of rolled through it and was thinking, okay, hunky dory, everything is good. We're back to the regularly scheduled program. Had some family or some extended in-laws in town for the Memorial Day weekend, and that was all good. But then after that, I was extremely, extremely drained. And I didn't know why I was like so drained. And so this is like Mercury retrograde, a couple of weeks of like being okay. And then after that, just extremely tired, extremely drained, more negative thinking, spiraling than ever, not really sure why. I was now confused about what I wanted to do and things like that. And I was just like, yo, what is going on? So most recently I said, okay, I cannot continue to make moves and make decisions in this state of mind. I am going to go on a little bit of a fast. And first it felt like this was a tool that came to me. First, it felt like a fast from thoughts and overthinking. And there was this sense and there's asking that was coming through about letting my mind be flexible to what my preconceived notions about things were, or letting my mind be flexible to what reality really was. And it was almost as if my mind didn't become mutable and flexible in that way, new energies, new dynamics, new perspectives, new realities would not have room to come in, because my mind was holding the framework of what I was thinking, what I was expecting, and what I was with life was holding it too rigid. And so the first thing was kind of like, let go of your mind, let go of your mind, let go of your mind. And I was like, oh, okay. So I tried to do that work every day. I just set a little bit of an intention to be like, okay, let my mind be more flexible. My mind is flexible to the realities, flexible to my perceptions, flexible to my understandings of things and those types of things. The second thing that came through was silence. And it came in almost as a fast. And at first I thought it was your normal like fasting from food, maybe from sunset to sunup, from sun up to sunset, or something like that, like not having any food and doing it kind of as a little bit of an offering to the divine or to yourself. And then it came in as a silence. Like I was like talking to people or communicating too much was causing too much of a ripple in the already crazy energies that were still happening after Mercury retrograde, which I didn't understand what was going on. And so I decided one day, okay, I'm going to be as silent as I can for one day. Meaning I'm not just gonna, hi, thanks, how are you? You know how we Americans really like to do small talk. Oh, nice weather. None of that for one day. And honestly, it was hard because I was out and about and I just had to do a lot of smiling and nodding and just try to not create any more ripples and divisions and polarity with the words that I was speaking. Just roll with me. Just roll with me. If some of this is making sense, if some of it is landing with you, then all good. If it's not making any sense or it doesn't make, you're like, what are you talking about? Then maybe it's not for you. But if it's making sense, then that's what we're here for. So decided, okay, I'm going to do a fast, or I'm going to refrain from speaking. I'm just going to be quiet for a day and just reside and abide in the sanctity of silence, in peace. So it was essentially an effort to bring more peace into that particular day, because I felt like everything was still going a little bit crazy, and I was, the thoughts were all over the place and things like that. So I said, okay, we're going to do a silence fast. And I do believe, I think I did a food, like I didn't eat, I ate very, very clean for that day, teas, waters, and things like that. And I was like, okay, I don't know why that came up for me. I don't know, but I did it. And I was like, okay, fine. Then after that, I had friends come in town, and I was happy because, when your friends are in town, you can keep your mind turned off. And so instead of worrying about what I'm going to do next in my business, or what my business partner and I are going to do next, or when am I going to do this, or why am I not doing this, or all of the worries and the frenetic kind of pace that we're all conditioned to behave in, instead of going there, the friends were in town. So I was like, oh, great. I can let my mind go still. I can have fun with them. I can do all of that. And I did all of that. It was great. I thought it was like that extension of what the guidance that I was getting from the divine, in terms of keeping my mind quiet, keeping my mouth quiet, things like that, quieting down and landing in peace a bit more. So we had a great weekend. All of that was great. But then after that weekend, I had this sense to rest. And I thought I was on vacation. I thought that whole thing with my friends was vacation. No, I got this overwhelming sense to do not go on any Zoom calls. Just put it all down and leave room for it to unfold, for it to be handled on my behalf. Kind of was the sense of it. So I was like, oh my God, like, bro, I just want to, it's summer. Like I'm getting Wands energy. If you guys are into the tarot, I'm getting like, go, put the pedal to the metal, passion, fire, virility, moving forward, stepping forward. But then that's what I was feeling almost in my body, and a little bit like in my mind, trying to pull me in that direction. But then my spirituality was telling me, rest, 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 put it all down, put it all down. So it ended up being a little bit of a conflict, a little bit of a juggling of how to merge your spiritual nature and your spiritual guidance and your intuitive guidance that may not be intellectual. It may not land with you specifically like rational and reasonable and strategic. It was just a feeling and a knowingness of go sit your behind down and rest and don't do anything. Don't make any decisions. And the other side of me, which is, it's summer, my body wants to go, the sun is out longer, everybody's in these streets. We coming off of that, COVID, and now, so there was this very challenging energies that were happening in one place, in one body, at one time. And if you're into the tarot, this is explained by the Temperance card. And the Temperance card is the big angel pouring water from one cup to the other. And how it's explained is that it's juggling and bringing moderation and being an alchemist for our two natures, our physical nature and our spiritual nature. You guys know that I'm very much into alignment and mind, body, soul, triangulation kind of information. And so it was like working through these energies that are pulling you in both directions, but being able to bring in some level of mastery with the tools and trusting yourself and following your intuition, so that you could juggle these two natures, not get stuck, not get bogged down, not get too overwhelmed, not get too exhausted, and still move forward with clarity from day to day through the energies that were happening and just through your personal timeline and your personal journey. And so this is what I kind of was discerning and figuring out as I was moving through the last couple of weeks, particularly to a head the last week. And so I was like silent on, I haven't been putting out videos and things like that. And you guys know, as somebody who likes to put out videos, this is stressful because you're like, oh my God, I need to put out, crank out content. These people want content every day, Not you guys, but the algorithm, the mystical algorithm that is requiring you to create a spectacle every day to keep its interest. Okay, that was another revelation that came to me today, is this unsatiable thirst of for you to be creating some sort of spectacle to keep people's attention every day. And if you're not doing that, then what are you doing with your life? You know what I mean? And so I was battling that as well. And so I said, nope, my intuition said, rest, sit down, rest. And so for the entirety of last week, I did not I did my normal routines. Like I did my workouts, I did my waters, I did, like I did my food and things like that. But I did not, go on any conference calls or try to drum up any business or try to, call and see what this person is doing, or, not anything that would be me trying to push instead of me sitting back and receiving. And you would be so surprised how difficult that is. All of us say we want ease and flow, we want soft life and all of that. But what I recognized and realized in that period of sitting my butt down was, one, how difficult it actually is to do that, to sit down in peace and not feel guilty, to sit down in peace and not feel vulnerable, to sit down in peace and not feel like fear of missing out, that you're missing something, to sit down in peace and not feel like you're not pulling your weight. All of those things percolated right up to the top of my emotional experience when I was following my intuition to sit down and rest and not make any decisions, not make any business moves, just rest and receive and integrate the new energies that we were stepping into. I got the sense that we were stepping into new energies because just how everything was feeling, what was happening in my life. I know we're getting up to the summer solstice. You guys always know that equinoxes and solstices, when the seasons change on the calendar, really usher in new seasons for us. And so it requires a new version of ourselves during these times. And so sometimes your work schedule or what the society you live in tells you to do during a certain season is pretty much opposite of what you're supposed to be doing in natural law. So luckily, however, we do this a lot. This is a mistake that we do in winter. In January, when we're in the dead of winter, that's when everybody's like, go, 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 go. And we're still in the dead of winter until the middle of March. And so that time can be very stressful, be very dark for people because they think they should be operating and generating at a certain pace. When in January, it's a new year, calendar year, so go. But in January, you're really still in the dead of winter. So that's what we talked about in spring. But now, like when we were getting towards the end of spring, but now that we are getting to summer, it usually is more aligned, right? Because the sun is out, it's hot, and people want you to be out in the streets and doing things. And so this is a little bit more aligned with what should be happening in summer. As far as I know, I don't know if we should. Yeah, as far as I know, I think that's what should be happening. And so, goodness, so summer. So the solstice is coming up. And so that's how I know energetically things are going to be shifting. When you pay attention to the calendar, when you pay attention to what seasons are coming in, and even what full moons and new moons are happening every week or every other week, it will really give you some insight into why certain patterns are emerging and happening in your life, or certain thought patterns are emerging and happening in your life, especially if you're very good at observing your thoughts and stepping back into that silence and watching your thoughts as they go by so that you can see the patterns, or journaling or meditating or anything that kind of takes you out of yourself a little bit and makes you an observer of your life, as opposed to this intellectual driver all the time. Because if you're always driving, you can never sit back and see the bigger picture. Right. And so that's what meditation does for you. That's what yoga does for you. That's what running does for you. That's what anything that puts you in your zone, makes you step back from that driver's seat and lets you observe what's actually happening. And so because I'm constantly in that state of just observing my life, I recognize, okay, energies are definitely changing. Things are picking up. I'm being told to sit down, but the pace is getting faster. The season's changing to summer. And so it was this effort in, which path am I going to take? Which path am I going to take? Am I going to go down just keep doing what everybody else is doing and like keep running, and not everybody else, but like what society tells you to do? Keep cranking, keep feeding the spectacle, keep feeding the algorithm, keep trying to do this, keep calling it. Was I going to do that and be kind of hypnotized by that same pattern that I would normally have done as a working person in the West? Or am I going to follow my intuition and sit down and figure out how to make myself comfortable and not feel vulnerable, not feel like I'm undeserving, not feel like I'm missing the mark, not feel guilty for sitting down in peace. And so I decided to pick my poison, and my poison was sit your behind down in peace and figure out how to make yourself comfortable with things being easy, with things being worked out on my behalf, with not knowing the full picture, with understanding that, there's more to what's going on than what my eyes can see and what my intellect can perceive. And if I can tap into a different frequency of myself, maybe I'll be able to perceive more that would make me comfortable in this unknown space of just sitting down and allowing the unfolding of my life. Particularly when I'm feeling like, oh, I should be doing, I should be doing, I should be doing. So I did that. And one of the big revelations that I had from that time, and I think I have some notes here, is, let me see here. What was my big revelation? One of my big revelations was, oh my God. I have so many notes here, guys. It's crazy. Okay. One of my big revelations from sitting down was realizing, having this thought and not pondering, but like ruminating on this particular thought. And the thought was, if I didn't have to do anything, if I didn't have to do anything to make a living, make money, if that wasn't my responsibility, what is it that I would be doing? And when you first think about that, you think, oh, that's easy. I would be going on vacation. And I love to travel. So low key, I'm shading myself. But oh, that's easy. I would be traveling. I would be working out. I would be hanging out with my man, hanging out with my husband, and my children and my girlfriends and things like that. That's like what you think you would be doing. But after you did that for a while, you get this overwhelming sense of, if I don't do something, I'm vulnerable to, I'm vulnerable to things falling apart. There's a fear that comes up when you are not moving. How do I say this? There's a fear that comes up when you are not trying to make a living, because you're so conditioned to do that. You're so conditioned to thinking that you have to keep all the balls in the air, that when you're not doing that, there's this overwhelming sense of vulnerability that comes up within you after a while. You might could chill and not think about it for like a week and don't have anything to do. But after you get into second week or third week, you start to get this real feeling like, yo, I need to get the balls back in the air, because if I'm not juggling it, who's going to be providing for me? How am I going to live? How am I going to earn? How am I going to do all of that? And what was coming through for me was, no, you will be doing something again, right? But if you did not have to do anything to earn the living, what would you genuinely be doing on a day-to-day? What would you genuinely be doing on a day-to-day? And I couldn't answer that. Like, I knew the basic things, but they all still revolved around, trying to make money was still the means of living, like the biggest banner of living. You know what I mean? And so if that wasn't there, if you didn't have to make money, what would you be doing? And I feel like that's what the divine was getting me to sit my butt down and kind of feel into what would you be doing if it was not necessary for you to do things that required you to make money? Genuinely, what does that look like? What would you be doing? And so that was one of the biggest things that I was like, oh my gosh, like I really need to feel into that. Like, I really need to understand, what would I be doing if everything was worked out? If everything was worked out for me, if everything was taken care of, what is it that I would be doing? What is it that I would be doing? And I think it's a little bit of a mindset shift that the divine and spirit and the unknown is kind of ushering us through. It's like, what if we are not in the timeline anymore where you have to, where the veil was over our eyes, and we thought that the only thing living was about was figuring out how to make money. What if we're no longer, what if the changes that we've been going through, that I know everybody's been feeling, if you haven't been feeling, let me tell you something. You might think you're not feeling anything, but if you're arguing with your spouse, if you're arguing with your family, if you're arguing with your boss, if you're upset, if you're not sleepy, if you're exhausted, if you're stressed out, if you have anxiety, if you have depression, all of those things are masquerading as, yo, things are changing and I'm not exactly sure what's changing. So it manifests as triggers galore. It manifests as triggers galore. And when you're doing your spiritual work, you can recognize, oh, the only reason why it bothered me that they didn't put the dish in the dishwasher is because actually I'm feeling very vulnerable, because it feels like a lot of things are happening that I can't put my finger on. So I just lash out at the thing that I can see. Put the dishes in the dishwasher and stop leaving them in the sink. And you think these people that you live with are just pigs. And the reality is that you're triggered and reacting because you feel vulnerable, because you can sense something is happening, but you can't tell exactly what's going on. This is how it looks when you need to get into your spiritual bag and be able to discern and tap into your intuition a little bit better and silence the critical thinking mind and feel into things a little bit more. But if you already know what's going on and you're like, yo, things are picking up and oh, they are annoying me, and I know that the annoyance that I'm feeling from them is just the way my mind reacts when it needs something to latch onto, when it doesn't know exactly what's happening, but your body can feel something is happening. One thing, I want to make this clear. One thing that I have said in past lives and past videos, even all last year, was that one of the things that you have to realize is that your mind, and I don't know if I've said this, I may have just journaled it, but one of the things that I've said before is, like, in Western cultures, we're taught very much that our mind and our intellect and our strategy and our masculine sphere is what is the leader, is what the decision maker. It should know everything. You should be able to figure everything out with your mind. And the reality is that when we move into certain paradigms, when evolution happens, when energetics of things happen, shifts happen that your mind is delayed in comprehending. Shifts, low-key shit, shifts happen that your body and your soul and your heart can perceive and know, but your mind is delayed in understanding and perceiving. And so when your mind feels like, yo, I don't know what's going on, but your body's like, something's going on, that can really make you exhausted. That can I'm going to say dichotomy, but I don't know if that's the right word. That kind of conflict or contrast or rift between what your body and your soul is feeling and what your mind is trying to perceive with its physical senses, but it can't quite get, because we're dealing with the unknown energetics of things. That rift can really trigger the crap out of you. So the last couple of weeks when I was saying, yo, Mercury retrograde is kicking my behind, I'm revisiting issues from back then. What the heck? I thought I sorted that out. Yo, I'm not sleeping. Why am I dreaming all kind of foolishness every night? I'm dreaming some big dream. What am I, Steven Spielberg? What am I, Jordan Peele, director extraordinaire, or Spike Lee? What the hell? Why I have a motion picture happening in my dome every night when I try to sleep? If you're experiencing these types of things, that's what I'm talking about, with your mind trying to comprehend what the heck is going on energetically. And so how you move through that is you have to honor sometimes the emotions that you're feeling and honor the states that your mind is saying that it's feeling. The only way you're going to be able to observe and discern this again is to when you take that step back from that frantic mind and you can kind of observe what's happening within your body and within your thoughts. This is work. You know what I mean? This is a spiritual work. When somebody says they're doing spiritual work, this is kind of some of the work that you're doing. is being able to see patterns in your life, patterns in your thinking, patterns in your behavior, patterns in your eating, things, what does what, drinking what does what, you know what I mean? Outside of, oh, smoking a cigarette does this, smoking weed does this, drinking alcohol does this. Yes, but what does increasing your hydration by 8 ounces a day do? What difference does it do to your body? No idea. What difference does caffeine do to your body after a week versus not drinking it for a week versus drinking for a week versus taking green tea instead? What does it do? How do you think? How does your, how do your thoughts come across? Are they frenetic, or are they kind of calm? Are you more serene and happy and joyful, or do you have more darker thoughts? These types of things and kind of experiments with your life is kind of the spiritual work that we're talking about. That's more practical applications of spiritual work. Okay, I digress. And so I think I was talking about the idea of letting yourself be provided for, starting the work, starting the practice of letting yourself be provided for. Remember, I told you the first thing Spirit was telling me was let my mind be flexible. Let my mind be flexible to new realities. Let my mind be flexible. And so after I kind of did all what they told me to do, okay, let my mind be flexible. Okay, all right, I can, I'm open to seeing things differently. I'm open to seeing things differently. I'm open to seeing things differently. Start there. You know what I mean? After I did that, after I did the kind of the silence fast, after I kind of did the quiet fast, after I sat my butt down and dealt with the feeling of vulnerability from resting and relaxing for an entire week, when my mind was telling me, get up and work, bitch, or whatever Kim Kardashian said, mind be telling you the same foolishness. Okay. So after I did it contrary to what my mind was saying, then it was like, okay, how do you practice to make yourself comfortable if everything was provided for you? I don't mean by no human man. I don't mean by no human woman. I don't mean by anybody human providing and giving anything to you. Provided from the divine. If you were abundant, if you were prosperous, if everything was taken care of for you, everything that they make us chase on like a carrot on a stick, if all of that was provided for you and you did not have to worry about it, one, could you accept that? Could you allow your mind to be flexible enough to accept that even thought of that possibility? One. Two, could you be able to make yourself comfortable being provided, feeling deserving enough in that construct, in that system, in that culture? Should we be moving in that direction? Can you make yourself comfortable in everything working out for you? And not only working out for you, you ain't even have to do the heavy lifting. You didn't even have to do the heavy lifting. There's no heavy lifting. All it is a decision and a belief. And things can change like that. When I ask the divine, before I get on these lives, you guys know I don't just be coming on here willy-nilly like, what should I say today? I'll be like, divine, this is what I've been working on. I'm thinking about talking about this. What should I say to them? What is it that you want delivered? The divine showed me Emperor, the Emperor card. Stand firm. Stand firm. Okay. One of the things that happened to me was like, I'm going through this process. I'm doing this work and it's not quite making sense. And my mind I'm a little bit battling my mind because it's like, what the hell? What are you doing? Like, okay, you probably should be editing some videos, like just being an annoying, voice of reason. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, let me drink some water. Annoying voice of reason trying to tell me what I should be doing. I might sound crazy, but I don't care. To be honest with you, I don't care. Hold on, let me take a sip of water. Take a little sip. Wet this throat chakra. Lubricate this throat chakra. Lemon water for the doll. You guys know, especially on a Monday. Not drinking anything but getting that H2O hydration, getting my cells all juicy, getting the skin, the mind clean, and getting that throat chakra lubricated, bitch. Okay. Okay. So, oh my gosh, I don't want to lose my train of thought. So stand firm. Stand firm. So divine. So why I think I'm on today on live today is to just give a little encouragement to those of you who feel like you're going through something, but you can't see the light of the end of the tunnel and you can't quite know what the heck is going on. And that's what's causing you the most dis-ease, like feeling of uncertainty and vulnerability. And that can make you lash out in fear and lash out at people when you're truly, facing your own vulnerability. And so Spirit said, stand firm, keep going through it, keep working through it, keep just processing it day by day, and keep your spiritual practices intact. Keep your hydration up, rest. Tell them people no. Tell them people you got laryngitis and you lost your voice. So you can only sit and smile and nod, or you can't be on because you're not feeling that well. Tell them whatever. You got to tell them to speak less, to sleep more, to rest more, and integrate, because that will help you and your subconscious integrate what all's happening, because your intellectual mind is not going to know what's going on. It's just going to tell you foolishness like you should be working harder. Why did they move over here? Why did they park over here? What's going on with? It's just going to throw you into, anger and fear and lashing out and triggers. And so the more you can silence yourself, contrary to how much I'm talking and running my mouth, silence yourself for a little bit, to rest way more and just ride the dreams and ride the waves and ride the juggling of your spiritual and your physical nature, ride the little bit of like the tiff between what your heart is kind of telling you to do and what you feel like doing and what your mind is trying to force you to do. Ride the wave, and as much and as best that you can, choose the path of trusting yourself, having faith in yourself, and knowing that everything that you do is working. Nothing is wasted, and that you can't lose, and that your timing is perfect. And there are other things that are happening in your life that are unseen, that you are playing a part in, that you just have to trust. And the best outcome for that is to trust yourself and your intuition as much as you can. Easier said than done, I know. But that stand firm in what you know, and your intuition is what kind of Spirit said to express to the collective today. Okay. Oh, I'm hiding the chat. I haven't been looking. Okay. So what I will say is I'm going to take a look at my notes and see what else I feel like. So one of the reasons why I felt like the message was stand firm was because today, only today, which is one of the main reasons why I'm on live, one of the reasons that I felt that stand firm was a good articulation was because at any moment, the tipping point can happen and things can change. At any moment, things can change. Let me see how I have it written down. From one moment to the next, things can change. From this moment to you not understanding you're doing this, but you're not really sure what's going on, and you don't really know, to the next moment, enlightenment. Oh, the veil is lifted. Oh my God, I really don't have to be concerned with doing the heavy lifting over there, because it's done. It's done. Oh, shoot. Am I okay with that? Am I okay? Can I be okay with that? It's like the heavy lifting is done. Now I can really focus on what I want to do. Oh, so one moment you could be still in like, what the heck should I be doing? And the next moment, oh, shoot, veil lifted. Because of what I said earlier, there's things happening that you don't know that are outside of your awareness. What you see is not all there is. What you see is not all there is. So there are other things that are happening that are going on. Okay. And so for a moment, just hold that, stand firm, that hold that face, that Emperor card, that father figure who the Emperor came up a lot for me this past week. It was talking a lot about you being able to have the authority in your life to create the structures that support and comfort where you are now in your path, where you are now, to be able to tear down and rebuild up structures and systems and belief systems and mindsets that serve where you are now as opposed to the ones that served you previously. So this journey, this spiritual growth is always about how you let a lot of it, I'm going to put out a video on this, a short little video, probably on Reels or stories. A lot of the spiritual journey is not about what you gain or what you're learning and things like that. A lot of it is what you're deconditioning, what you're getting rid of, what you no longer believe, what no longer serves you, and letting go, being able to let go of those mindsets. So when I said spirit was like, let your mind be flexible, let your mind be flexible, let your mind be flexible. That's one of the things. That's one of the things. And so from moment to moment, things can change like this. So stand firm and just keep doing the work. Keep doing the work, and you are not alone. And things are kind of crazy right now, but it's actually quite exciting because it's almost like, today there's gravity and tomorrow there's not. Imagine that. What if today there's gravity? I heard y'all say we would be dead. We would float up to the sun and we would burn up and we would die. Okay, Bill Nye the Science Guy. Okay, got it. It was a metaphor. It was a metaphor. What if, just conceptually, what if there was something that we firmly believed in, that was true one day and the next moment it wasn't? That's a little bit of where we're at right now. That's a little bit of where we're at right now, and how that's going to look for you, how that's going to feel for you is going to be different for all of us because we're all on individual timelines. We are all on individual timelines, but just let your mind be flexible, as Spirit, as the divine said to me. What if one day we had gravity and the next day we didn't? Or what if one day some of us were still abiding by gravity and some of us weren't? So if you're the one in gravity and you're seeing people floating around and flying and, floating, you're like, yo, how come gravity is not affecting you? And the one floating around is saying, just don't believe in it anymore. Just believe in something else. That's how we got here. What if that's what it was? What if that? So what would you do as somebody who's not tethered to the floor and like, yo, gravity got me locked? What the hell? How am I gonna believe? How am I not gonna believe in something that is so scientific that we've all abided by, we've believed for so long? Remember, this is a metaphor. How am I gonna believe? And they're saying, just let it go. Stop believing in it. Believe in the possibility of something else. Bye. And they float gone. That's where we are. Look, I'm not even gonna hold you. We low-key right there energetically. So I'll just let you think about that. If it sounds crazy, then it do. But if it don't, then it don't. You know what I mean? Channel it through with love. So with these kind of awareness and awakening, and this is the last thing I'm going to say before I jump off of live, with this kind of awareness and awakening of like, oh, things are changing and there's some decisions that we can make by just our beliefs in certain things, as I said in the story about gravity, okay? That's a lot of power for the individual. Not everybody is going to get that because not everybody's doing the full-on spectrum of the spiritual work, one. And two, some people are earlier in their journey. Some people are in the middle in their journey. Some people are at the end of their journey. People are all different places in their spiritual growth and their spiritual ascension and journey. So that's why the message of stand firm wherever you're at. Find the joy in wherever you're at. Find the joy in wherever you're at that journey and stand firm in it. And if you fall off, that's okay. Get back up the next day. Let go of the anger. Try to let go of the fear. Try to use your tools and your food and your sleep and your exercise and your mindsets and your meditation, whatever tools that you have in your toolbox. Just use them every day as, lean into the tools that you have to keep yourself as high vibrational, leaned into your joy, as present and appreciative of where you are now in your life. Appreciative Milk the joy out of every moment because life is short and this thing fly by quick. If you're not paying attention and milking the joy out of every moment that you can, you will be 80 years old, like mad that you just retired and that Trump Junior is in office. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the bottom line is like milk the joy out of every moment. Keep coming back to your love. Keep coming back to your hopefulness. Keep resting. If you can't find any of those joyful experiences, your mind is running amok. Rest. Shut down everything as much as you can and rest as much as you can and let your body and your mind, your subconscious integrate where you are on your journey again. And then once you feel the energy of like, ooh, I'm good again, then you step back out. But that ebbs and that flows, that juggling that you need to do is necessary. And it just doesn't happen every season. It happens cyclically on your own internal calendar. So you have to pay attention to that and not just what the television is telling you should do at certain time or social media or the people, them culture, all of that. You know what I mean? Tune into your own thing. Okay. So hold on. I want to make sure, did I get what I needed to say? Um, so when energy shifts and change, it can make you feel, it can knock at your security, your personal security. So that's when I said you start lashing out. You'll start lashing out, getting triggers all over the place because you're feeling like your ground is shaking under you, but energetics are shifting and this unknown things happening below the surface of your physical senses can make you feel like something is happening. And so just be aware if you're in that, just know that, oh, something's changing that you're still trying to discern. Okay. I love the metaphor about gravity. Love the metaphor about gravity and seeing some people having gravity and some people floating off and trying to make your way to whichever where you need to be, where you need to be. Power. That was the other thing. That was the last thing that I was talking about. So when you get into the state of awareness that, oh, it's my decision and my belief that affects things and affects my reality, especially now as the energetics are more supporting the unknown, the energetics are more supporting the unseen, it requires you to have, you step more into your power. And when you step into your power, I was led to understand that, you know how they say with great power comes great responsibility or power corrupts or things like that. It's because when the energy starts moving fast and you have an awareness that you're directing it on some level, you can direct it in a manipulative way or you can direct it in a loving way. You can unknowingly direct it in a manipulative way, and you can usually when you're directing it in love, it is a little bit more intentional. And so that was one of the last things that I'm still working out and that I'm feeling through. But it was essentially when you have this level of command over your life and the energetics of what's happening and you know what's going on and you kind of know how to move, it makes you a more powerful being. When you are a more powerful being, you have to be cognizant of the decisions that you're making and making sure they're rooted coming from a place of love, coming from a place of security, coming from a place of prosperity, coming from a place of abundance, coming from a place of overflow. That is why Spirit was telling me, can you be okay with everything being provided for you? Because if you can't be okay with everything being provided for you and that there being abundance and prosperity and overflow, it's very dangerous for you to have power. Because if you are in that place of lack and scarcity and I got to work and I have to grind and if they have I don't have and if I have they don't have, if you come from that place and then you're given power, imagine what kind of tyrannical things that you would employ in life, in the world, in your own life, and trickle out and affect everybody else. And so I believe that's why one of the reasons, the first things before you kind of step into power is, can you make yourself comfortable with everything being provided for you such that you just have to move from a place of abundance, love, prosperity, things are going well for me. I don't have to, I can pick and choose from love. That is a safe place to make decisions from. That's a safe place to drive and to direct my energy towards. So I'm still working on that, but that concept of channeling your love, channeling your power through love, channeling and communicating through love, through prosperity, through pleasure, through abundance, through overflow, and how necessary and important that is when power shifts and power dynamics are an awareness, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. This is power. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That's the real definition of power. So when knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is being bestowed on you, when the power is being bestowed on you, it is necessary for you to be able to wield that 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 those decisions and what you're doing with integrity, with harmony, with love, with pleasure, with all of that. I do these videos so you know you're not out here alone in this sometimes crazy living, loving, leveling up world. If this is your first time here, I'd love to have you subscribe. And if you're an oldie but a goodie or you're part of the replay gang, you know the deal. Smash the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Leave your comments in the chat. I'll respond when I have an opportunity to. But with that being said, I'm just here to say something that encourages you, that inspires you, that lights a fire within you, that takes you on the path to your personal power, to your intuition, to your love, to your abundance, to your prosperity. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Have a good night.